Questions still exist around the death of Rachel Corrie, a young activist who was run over by a bulldozer in Gaza when she was there on a mission of peace. We're going to talk with her aunt, Cheryl Broderson, about her legacy. Today, we're also going to talk with State Representative Dan Kelly for our usual inside look at the Iowa State House. Also, Susie Paloma joins us to talk about the Palm Sunday Procession for Peace here in Des Moines. And as usual on Thursdays, Nakisha Phillips joins us to talk about her journey through pregnancy, working with a doula and a midwife. We'll kick off the conversation in just a minute here on the Fallon Forum.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ed Fallon here, folks. Gateway Market and Cafe is your locally owned source for specialty groceries. Enjoy chef-crafted, prepared foods, artisan baked goods, organic produce, specialty cheeses, and hand-selected wines and craft beer. Visit the lively cafe for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week. Gateway Market is centrally located on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Woodland Ave. Stop by or visit www.gatewaymarket.com for more details. That's Gateway Market, folks. Good food, great community.
This moment of silence brought to you by Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, home of Des Moines' premier rooftop dining experience. Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
On March 28th, Equal Justice After Hours is Iowa Legal Aid's annual fundraiser that helps provide access to justice for low-income Iowans. The event includes a reception and program at the Temple for the Performing Arts in Des Moines. It also includes remarks by Georgetown University law professor Peter Edelman and the induction of Robert Oberbelly into the Iowa Legal Aid Hall of Fame. Tickets start at $50 and sponsorship opportunities are available. Contact Terry Bennett at tbennett@iowalaw.org. That's tbennett@iowalaw.org.
Ludwig van Beethoven here. I used to be so tired all the time, not from composing and playing, but from moving my piano. But now I feel so much better. I call S&P Piano and they will bring my piano anywhere. They also sell and rent pianos, used ones, new ones. You get the idea.
Call S&P Piano right away at 208-6453. That's 208-6453.
S&P Piano.
Times are tough, and most people are just trying to make their cars last a little bit longer. That's why you should know about Sargent's Garage in Des Moines. You can trust Sargent's to make the right diagnosis and give you a fair price. Whether it's a routine oil change or a major repair, Sargent's always does outstanding work. So don't give up on that old car just yet. Call Sargent's Garage at 246-8149. That's 246-8149 for Sargent's Garage.
Nestled in the heart of downtown, Ritual Cafe is one of Des Moines' most unique places, offering a wide variety of coffee and tea. Ritual Cafe also serves the only all-vegetarian menu in town. And Ritual Cafe is a cultural hub for artists and musicians, with a performance stage hosting local, national, and international talent. Make Ritual Cafe a part of your daily ritual. On 13th Street between Locust and Grand in downtown Des Moines. And check out ritualcafe.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Found him on the steps out in front of St. Alphonsus. He was missing both his shoes with some broken teeth responses. Bloody stained glass like busted in pieces on the ground.
Folks, welcome to the Fallon Forum. This program is sponsored by the Sierra Club, the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, that is also Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility, and also by Gateway Market, sponsoring this segment of our show. I want to welcome Cheryl Broderson to the conversation. She is the aunt of Rachel Corrie, who died tragically in Gaza several years ago. Cheryl, welcome to the program.
Hi, Ed. Thank you so much for having me.
And I do apologize to viewers and listeners. We have audio, but I am not sure we have video. We have an ongoing issue with that this week, it seems. But Cheryl, that's okay because you're on the phone anyhow. You're calling us from Denison, Iowa.
I am.
Yeah. So, again, just so people have some background on who Rachel Corrie was and what happened, give us a little story, a little history here.
Sure. Rachel is my niece, or was my niece, and in 2003, 10 years ago, it's been a decade now, she traveled to the Gaza Strip and went to a city called Rafah, which sits right along the Philadelphia route between Egypt and Israel. And it was there that she was killed as she stood in front of a home that was next in line for demolition. And there were 5 children in front of that home the day that she was in front of it.
And why was the home being demolished?
Well, it's sort of an interesting area in Middle East history. The Philadelphia route is a very small road that, in the Oslo agreements, Israel was given as the military installations area. But adjacent to that is the city of Rafah and Palestinian homes. What Israel seems to have decided was that area needed to become a buffer zone.
Okay.
So over a period of about 2 or 3 years, they had destroyed over 600 homes.
So they weren't picking out specific homes for any reason other than that they were in this area that was determined to be needed as kind of a safe zone between Israel and areas that were considered to be haven for terrorists. I'm trying to understand Israel's perspective on why they would do that.
Sure, I think if you listen to Israel's perspective in general, they say that they were taking them out because terrorists lived there. Now, in this particular home, we know that that's not the case because that family, in fact, visited Iowa. So in order to get to Iowa, and in order to get to Iowa, they had to travel out of Gaza, and that's with the permission of the Israelis, into Tel Aviv to get their visa, and then come to the United States. And in fact, were stopped in Los Angeles, I think, and checked by the FBI. And they're a lovely family with their small child, and really what in a report that Human Rights Watch did in, I think, 2004, entitled Raising Rafah. Raising Rafah.
Raising not as in bringing up, but as in destroying. Yes.
R-A-C-I-N-G.
Right.
Raising Rafah. The Human Rights Watch states that most of these houses were not taken out because of military necessity. And that's a pretty independent opinion that doesn't have a horse in either side of this one. They go in and take a look at what's happening. And if you look at, and in fact, if you read what Israeli General Almog had to say after about the Philadelphia Strip, he said it was a problem area for them, but they had agreed and signed to having just that military installations area, that Philadelphia route, as their patrolling route. But the area on the other side of that route was Palestinian area. And so, no, I think in general, I think everyone concedes that the Israelis decided that they needed this land, that it was a buffer zone, and that to accomplish that land, they had to take out all of those houses, which they did. And if you read Rachel's writings, and she tells you that often the bulldozers and tanks came in the middle of the night. And so it was done. It was something that was, I think, being done hopefully from the Israelis' point of view under the radar. And I think from our point of view, what young people like Rachel did, they were documenting.
Right.
And Rachel was a beautiful writer, and her emails were coming home, and she was looking for more media sources in the United States. in terms of history, in the same period of time, in a short 6-week period of time, in the same 2-mile stretch of Gaza, 3 people who were documenters were killed, all internationals, one being Rachel Corrie, one being Brit Tom Herndl, who was a photographer. And I remember seeing his work, and for the first time, looking at these concrete houses, which, again, I mean, your eye has to focus. They're different than our houses. They're concrete,
right,
being in the Middle East. But there were these holes in all the houses, and you looked at them, and it was like, what are the holes? And then you realize that they're gunshots.
Folks, if you'd like to join the conversation, Cheryl Broderson and I are discussing the legacy of Rachel Corrie. Cheryl is Rachel's aunt. Rachel Corrie was a young activist who was killed in Gaza years ago, and yet her legacy and her work live on through, a foundation, and certainly through plenty of folks who remember what she was trying to accomplish and understand the importance of that work continuing. Let me ask you one more question, Cheryl. Is there any disagreement about whether or not this bulldozer driver knew he was about to run Rachel down? Is it possible that he didn't see her? Is it pretty universally accepted that he did, or is there still disagreement about that?
I'd say that there is still disagreement about that. I think that you've gotten to the crux of the matter. There was an investigation that was carried out by the Israelis. In fact, there were 2. The one investigation was done as a sort of on-the-ground investigation by the people involved. And then the second was the more thorough military investigation. The United States government has stated unequivocally in a letter to our family, and then reinforced at a House hearing on the country reports on human rights.
That's the U.S. House?
Excuse me?
That's the U.S. House, yes,
US
okay.
House. That the State Department does not consider the investigation done by the Israelis to be credible, transparent, nor thorough the way we would have hoped.
So that is from our own government?
That is from our own
basically government. Criticizing the Israeli government and their determination as to the...
That's right.
The motivation.
And it has continued up until, actually not too long ago, John Kerry, when he was chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, continued to ask the question of people within the State Department, what was being done regarding the Rachel Corrie case and where did it stand? Joe Biden asked a similar question. And what they're saying, I believe, when they ask that is that we all know, and I can tell you what some of the major flaws in that investigation are. Now, having said that, the Israelis, my family has last year received the verdict in a civil suit that was brought against the state of Israel. And they have found that that Rachel was not seen by the bulldozer driver, and that the investigation was adequate, and that basically what they had decided in the beginning, that she was at fault because she was there, and so basically that her death was her own fault.
Folks, if you would like to join the conversation, it's 244-0077. Or toll-free 855-244-0077. Of course, that is if you are listening to this program live. Again, 244-0077. And you can always email me either during the program or after the fact at fallonforum@gmail.com. I want to go to a brief video clip. I want to share this with folks. This is something that was sent to me, and it kind of shares a little bit of Rachel's own reflection on why she was in Palestine, why she was in Gaza at the time.
For other children. I'm here because I care. I'm here because children everywhere are suffering, and because 40,000 people die each day from hunger. I'm here because those people are mostly children. We have got to understand that the poor are all around us and we're ignoring them. We have got to understand that these deaths are preventable. We have got to understand that people in third world countries think and care and smile and cry just like us. We have got to understand that they are us, we are them. My dream is to stop hunger by the year 2000. My dream is to give the poor a chance. My dream is to save the 40,000 people who die each day. My dream can and will come true if we all look into the future and see the light that shines there.
A 23-year-old American activist stands in front of an Israeli bulldozer in Gaza.
Rachel Corey, a 23-year-old American student, went to Gaza to join in these efforts, sending back emails to her parents.
I have been in Palestine for 2 weeks and 1 hour now, and I still have very few words to describe what I see. It is most difficult for me to think about what's going on here when I sit down to write back to the United States. Something about the virtual portal into luxury. I don't know if many of the children here have ever existed without tank shell holes in their walls and the towers of an occupying army surveying them constantly from the near horizons. I think, although I'm not entirely sure, that even the smallest of these children understand that life is not like this everywhere.
Thank you for sharing that, Cheryl Broderson. That's a video that I think you or maybe Betsy Mayfield sent, and I appreciate the opportunity to share that with our audience. Again, it's a tragic situation. We could have a much longer conversation about the situation in Israel and Gaza, and we have had those conversations before, and I would like to have them again. I'd like to invite folks from the Jewish community here in Des Moines to be a part of this conversation as well. I think it's important to include all perspectives, but certainly from my point of view, what happened was inexcusable, was tragic, and the continued tensions between Israel and Palestine. There is a solution. I believe there is a solution, and I don't believe our own government has been doing as good a job as it should at trying to move us toward that solution. Cheryl, your final comments on that before we have to wrap up this segment?
Well, I think that it's sort of an excellent place to stop. As you all know, or most people know, President Obama is on his way to the area now in the next week, and it is really a good time to do what I call a Rachel Corey. And I would give them a call at the White House or fax them over a letter. I'd also suggest you do this to Senator Grassley and to Senator Harkin, and suggest to them, number one, that we need accountability on the deaths of all American citizens who have been killed in that area. Number one, I would suggest that number two, we make it clear that our weapons are not to be used in human rights violations, and there are laws on the books that are just not being followed in that regard. And number three, I would encourage President Obama to remember that there will not be peace until there are equal rights for all people in the area. And I think you can start there, and I'm sure you have many others.
Yeah.
But I think those are good places to make your voice heard. I think that's the one message on the 10th year as we look to Rachel's death. The one thing that she taught many of us was that our voices are important, and to stand up and take a look down the rabbit hole at what's occurring.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl, for joining us, folks. Cheryl Broderson, the aunt of Rachel Corrie. I appreciate you taking the time to dialogue with us. We'll be back in a few minutes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll be back in a few minutes, folks.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
The dawn of a new era begins.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of WebcastOneLive.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live.
It's my lucky year, huh?
Someday we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Favors neighbors, folks, and we're back to our conversation here on the Fallon Forum. Yes, we got the whole world behind us. New backdrop. What the heck? We've broadened our focus a little bit here, but we do have we ought to have the State House behind us today. Dan Kelly is probably feeling a little bit out of his element here. Dan, you got the whole world behind you today. What do you think of that?
I can't wait to see it. If I turn my head, will it disappear?
Yes.
It does. I turn my head and there's a green wall.
Which is, of course, why you had to remove your fancy St. Patrick's Day green tie.
I know it. Technology has advanced very, very far, but still, you cannot wear a green tie on the Ed Fallon show.
That's right.
Not even
on St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day week. Well, I'm just disappointed in that. I wore it special for the show, and then I thought,
sorry, it would have been you would look like you had a hole in your chest.
It would look
inappropriate.
Like I've got what would it be, South America down around
maybe here? Maybe that's right. You would have had Argentina in your midriff.
There you go.
All right, on to more important things than Dan Kelly's silly tie. Tell me about the we've had some tax discussion at the State House this week. What's that been about?
Well, I was on the subcommittee for a bill that would have instituted, and it did pass the House, but there's not much chance it's going to get through the Senate, would institute a flat tax option of 4.5% for Iowans. So you would either take that 4.5% and forego all of your deductions, forego all of your deductions for charitable contributions. You would not be able to itemize and so forth. You'd just pay a flat 4.5%. And
Steve Forbes used to talk about this a lot.
Yeah, well, the problem with this is, Ed, that it would only benefit the high-income earners in Iowa. It wouldn't do much for the middle class, wouldn't do much or anything at all for those who are low-wage earners. So I opposed it. I was on the subcommittee for the bill, so I was somewhat deep in the discussion there.
What arguments do the proponents make? If it's clearly going to benefit the upper crust, what's the? They're not going to say we need to do this to help the rich because they're struggling.
I think
what are they going to say?
Their argument for it can be summed up in that it will help thousands of Iowans with their taxes and provide an option.
So you don't have to claim
we're helping thousands of Iowans, but really what we got to do is we got to focus on the middle class.
Right.
A strong middle class, economic security for the middle class is important to our economic recovery as a country and as a state.
Right.
It's also just simply the right thing to do to help those who need it.
And what does the fiscal note look like on it? In other words, what is it going to cost the state to do this?
Well, I'll tell you what, if this were to go through, I don't think we're going to be looking at any property tax reform anytime in the near future.
So you're
because
saying
it's going to put us in bad shape. There was an amendment tacked on to the bill to give every Iowan back, it was around $350 or so. So the bill changed with that amendment somewhat.
Who offered that amendment?
Representative County offered that amendment.
That's a totally different bill in that case. It's just a refund.
Here's the reality of what happened. There were two very bad concepts. They were just put into the same bill. It passed through the House. It's dead in the Senate. I mean, that's the reality of it. That's the political reality of it. But I'm just disappointed it was offered in the first place.
Well, they have to know. House Republicans have to know. I mean, just as Senate Democrats have to know that certain proposals aren't going anywhere.
Right.
And so, if you want to burn the daylight, moving them forward in your chamber, there's got to be some other reason than you expect them to become law. So is there a campaign motivation here?
I think there probably is some campaign motivation, but I'm not sure how effective it's going to be because here's the bottom line on it, Ed. The average tax break for an Iowan who makes under $30,000 who participates in this 4.5% flat tax, they'd get $75. Now, that would maybe buy a bag of groceries or fill a tank of gas, but it certainly isn't going to make a car payment or send a kid to college.
It might fill 2 tanks of gas.
Maybe 2 tanks of gas. Well, but not for some vehicles.
No, that's true.
I'm sure you've never ridden in a vehicle that takes
I may have ridden in one like
that,
that, but I've never owned one like that. All right.
Yeah, well, it'd be maybe 2 tanks of gas. Anyway, that's not enough. Middle-class Iowans need more. And lower wage earners need more. And here's the stats on the number of Iowans who make over $1 million. And I know how many there are, Ed. You guess how many people in Iowa make $1 million per
Let's
year?
see. I'm going to guess under 1,000.
You're somewhat close. 1,236.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
and here's how much of a tax break they would get. $42,000.
Versus $75 for schmucks like you and me?
Right. So now we're not talking about a tank or two of gas. Now we're talking about a car.
Well, we're talking about a year's worth of fuel for their private jet.
Right. There you go. There you go. You take it a little further.
Folks,
it's just not the right move.
Folks, if you want to join the conversation and help me beat up on Dan Kelly, you can do that at 244-0077, 244-0077. And I am going to pick on you a little bit.
Okay.
Redistricting.
Yes.
Iowa has the best system in the country when it comes to crafting new boundaries for congressional districts, for legislative districts. Agreed?
Absolutely agreed.
Okay. So why not make that the law of the land when it comes to other levels, not just Iowa House, Iowa Senate, and Congress, but why not make it the law of the land for county supervisor districts?
Well, before we make it the law of the land, we got to make it a goal. And I think we got to get there.
Goal. What do you mean?
Goal. I mean, if we want to have, we didn't start off with the absolute best redistricting plan for state and congressional races. We had to get to the point where that was the case.
Was it the second plan that was approved?
No, I'm not talking about the specific plan. I'm talking about the overall structure of how we do this, of how we do the redistricting. It's a good system that was put together.
It's the best in the country.
Yeah, best in the country. Other states are copying.
Except when you get to Polk County. And I mean, maybe word hasn't reached Jasper County on this, but in Polk County, you've got, if it happens to be Democrats causing the mischief here.
Okay.
Because they're in control, they basically gerrymander the districts. They gerrymander the county supervisor districts so they can assure Democratic control. And, Democrats, I guess, like that, but is it fair? Is it right? It's not consistent with how we do things at the state level. And I think Republicans had the right idea by proposing that function be taken over by the same agency that we trust to do it at the state level.
Now, Ed, you got to answer a question here. Now, are you talking about the supervisors districts?
Yes.
Or are you now you're talking about the supervisors districts.
I mean, I've been going down from Congress.
You're not saying that the legislative districts in Polk County. You're talking about
legislative districts are fine because they're part of the state approach.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, it would be better if we followed a system very similar to what we do with the legislature.
So why did Democrats oppose a good idea?
Well, from time to time, Ed, that may happen.
Well,
I don't.
That was the one you were tracking closely,
Yeah. It wasn't one I was tracking closely.
Well, again, it's not really a Jasper County bill.
But
you don't have this issue there.
Yeah, and I think that these issues can always be perfected. There's always room for improvement.
All right. Well, I've got to get me a Polk County Republican and a Polk County Democrat on the show to talk about this one.
And another thing is, Ed, Polk County is very different than Jasper County or even some of the more rural districts in terms of these district lines and so forth. The Jasper County Board of Supervisors, they serve countywide. They're at large.
And that's how it happens in most counties.
There's a lot of counties that are like that.
I mean, and I think the ward system makes sense in Polk County because we have such a large population base. It makes sense to have 5 districts.
Sure.
But it does not make sense to allow the majority party in power at the time to gerrymander those districts to their benefit. And that's what keeps happening decade after decade. Yeah. So I'm glad that there's a proposal to change that. And I wish everybody would get on board. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not a Jasper County bill.
It really it really isn't.
Yeah.
And
anyway, I do need to get somebody on my program from Polk County to talk about that. What else is going on up there?
Well, let's see. Later today, around 1:30, 2 o'clock, my admin and reg budget goes before the Appropriations Committee, so I've spent most of the day and part of yesterday preparing for that. Ed, good, clean, open government is important to everyone.
Yes.
And there are a few areas on this budget we can take steps towards better, more open, clean government.
Can we require school boards to hire their new superintendent in the light of day and not behind closed doors?
Probably not through my committee.
Okay, well,
probably
it was worth asking.
Yeah, probably not through my committee. But the admin and reg budget covers 13 different offices, departments, and agencies and so forth. One of those is the Ethics and Campaign Disclosure Board.
Right.
They are far behind on auditing reports.
Auditing legislative candidate reports.
Legislative and committees, say your Democratic, Republican Central committees, your legislators, your candidates for offices at all levels.
And that's because the staff is spending too much time on Facebook?
Well, it's because no, I don't think so. In my opinion, they need more support.
Yeah.
And I don't want to micromanagement. Maybe they need more staff members. Maybe they need more time.
Well,
maybe they just needed another system to do this process. I don't know. I want to give them more support.
Well, there are lots of candidates, and candidates, generally speaking, are raising more money.
Yes.
When there's more candidates and more money in the system, logically, if you're going to audit those campaign finance reports effectively, you've got to have more people willing and able to do that.
Right. Absolutely. And, as we take a look at these rules, and I think Iowa has very good rules and laws on disclosure of campaign funds and so forth, I think we handle that, again, just like the redistricting, very well. And other states may want to take a look at what we do. But if we don't provide support for that board and make sure that they have the means to get the audits done in a timely manner, and they work very hard at it, then I think we're not opening the door to more clean, open government. And that's a piece of the budget that I think we can make some improvements on. Overall, the admin and reg budget, if all of the budgets start to come together like ours has, I think we're going to be in good shape.
You're saying it tends to be a nonpartisan or bipartisan effort.
I don't think that that's really the case.
So there is some
last
contention.
year it was somewhat contentious, and in years past I think it was. But we seem to have just kind of the right mix of folks on that committee, and we're coming together. But there are still some areas that need to be improvement. So my caucus voted against the budget at this point, but we're hoping that once it comes to the floor, we can support it.
So last week was funnel week.
Yeah.
A lot of bills died horrible deaths.
Yes.
Some of them just whimpering deaths.
Yes.
What any disappointments or any particular, both disappointments and, hey, this happened and I'm happy?
Well, I'll tell you something I'm happy about. I had a subcommittee meeting on a hydroelectric bill.
Hydroelectric?
Hydroelectric
in Iowa.
And it came out of the Environmental Protection
Do
Committee.
we have enough water moving fast enough to do anything with hydroelectric here? And is it a good idea?
We got Mississippi River, we got the Iowa River, we got Red Rock, we've got water in Iowa.
We've got locks and dams on some of those and reservoirs on others.
Yeah. Well, as the water runs, if we don't capture it, we're wasting energy. So
I don't know a lot about hydroelectric because it's never been an issue here in Iowa. So there are folks looking at harnessing water as a source of energy.
There is some interest in hydroelectric power right now, and I served on a subcommittee for a bill. I'm hoping that it's going to get moved forward. And came out of the Environmental Protection Committee. That is promising because generally we don't have a lot of bills that come out of that committee, unfortunately.
Nothing tends to come out of the Environmental Protection Committee in the House.
I feel good about this one.
Yeah.
Also, I have a bill that did not move forward, but it would allow for a study to be conducted on the hydroelectric capabilities, what energy we might be able to capture from the various lakes and rivers in the state of Iowa.
All right.
So.
Well, we got time for one phone call here, folks. Let's go to John from Des Moines. Hello, John. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ed. Hi, Dan.
Hi, John.
I was just calling. You made the comment that your appropriation subcommittee could not do anything about trying to make sure that school boards make their decisions in public, and I would just suggest that there are lots of code changes that often go in appropriations bills. This is something that's pretty important, and that lots of Iowans are upset about how the decisions get made. Of course, the governor's transparency czar has commented on it. You might want to consider. You have the Iowa Public Information Board in your appropriations bill.
Yes, and that's another area that we're going to request additional funding for. That's a board that is just getting started. They're set to open their doors on July 1st, and the budget as it stands now does not provide the adequate funding to get them off to a good start, in my opinion. And so that's another reason that we voted no, and something else we're going to really be pushing for before and during the bill being considered on the floor. And yes, John, you're right. We can have some impact on there, but I think when the discussion gets real specific about how schools hire and fire and so forth, I think a lot of that discussion needs to have some input from folks involved in education as well.
Well, I in theory, I agree with you. The problem is historically, the folks on the education side of the world tend not to be as friendly to transparency and open government pushes as the folks on your side of the world. I don't mean partisan.
Yeah, right. No, and I appreciate that comment, John, but I guess I respectfully kind of disagree on that. I think there's a lot of folks involved in education. I can think of some on the committee right now that really are interested in open, clean government.
Well, I mean, a good start there, in my opinion, would be to end the practice of having school board elections in September on a very special day.
Sure.
Where you have the biggest turnout is among people who are very, very interested in what goes on, teachers, PTA folks, public employees. Put it with the general election or the municipal election. That's my opinion.
Exactly. It would save a lot of money, too.
Yes. Oh, you agree with me. Good. John, thank you. Let's double team Dan here, shall we?
No. No, it's good to talk to John.
John, thank you for the call. I've got to run to a break and move on to a couple other conversations today. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ed.
Big plans on St. Patrick's Day?
I've been wearing green all week.
That's not a big enough plan.
Well,
you need a bigger plan than that. Just wearing green.
St. Patrick's Day is always a big day for Dan Kelly.
Well, you're going to be in the parade?
And I might go to the parade. I've been in the parade for several years, but I've been marching with OFA in support of President Obama, but I'm not sure that they have a float this year.
Obama.
Could be wrong.
Is that an Irish name? Obama.
That's a good one, Ed.
All right. Well, yeah, I have marched before, but I'm going to be happy to be an observer this year.
I think I'm going to be an observer.
All right, well, maybe we'll observe together.
Yeah, with some green beverages.
All right, okay. Some green beverages. Folks, I want to thank our Community CPA and Associates for sponsoring this segment of our show. They're at 3816 Ingersoll Ave, and they can do your taxes and accounting. They can address all the stuff you've got to deal with when it comes time to meeting the deadline for tax day. Again, if you're a single person filing a W-2, you're looking at only $97 to get that done. It's a good idea, folks. You wouldn't want me to come in and fix your plumbing. No. And it's probably a better idea to have somebody like Yingsa or one of her staff work on your taxes as well. Give them a shout at 288-3188, 288-3188. When we come back, we're going to talk with Susie Paloma about a peace processional coming up here on Palm Sunday in Des Moines. We're also going to talk with Nikisha Phillips and continue to track her journey through pregnancy as she works with a doula and a midwife.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Community CPA is the 15th largest CPA firm in Iowa, providing audit, tax, and accounting services. Community CPA specializes in international tax treaty and double taxation avoidance among countries and states. 9 dedicated, experienced, hardworking staff are the company's foundation, and their compassion towards every client is the secret behind Community CPA's success. At Community CPA, you can expect quality service year-round. Call 288-3188. Community CPA, 3816 Ingersoll. Experience the difference.
This is Dr. Holding, the Story County Veterinary Clinic. For 15 years, we have been spaying and neutering feral cat groups at affordable prices. Wild cats destroy game birds and songbirds. A single female cat can produce over 4,000 kittens in 7 years. The shelters are full, so unwanted kittens will be put to sleep. Your cats will stay home and stay healthy. Call us for all your dog and cat needs at the Story County Veterinary Clinic between Ames and Nevada on Highway 30, 1 mile east of Interstate 35, 515-232-8766.
Since 1994, Sid's Catering has graced Des Moines area events with quality service and rave reviews. Owner Sid Cohn's culinary career began with a Northeast Iowa vacation home for international clientele. Sid earned a Bachelor of Science in Hotel Restaurant Management and was the assistant clubhouse manager at Des Moines Golf and Country Club. Sid has a passion for fresh, local products and offers a wide range of options, including vegan, gluten-free, and ethnic. Mention the Fallon Forum when you book your breakfast or lunch event and get 10% off. Contact Sid's Catering at 208-2091. That's Sid's Catering at 208-2091.
Local farms, global flavor. That's the secret to Hawk's growing popularity. The best meals begin with the best ingredients. and 90% of Hawk's ingredients come from local farms. In addition to seasonal fruits and vegetables, Hawk features grass-fed beef and lamb, and pasture-raised chicken and duck, all raised without hormones, steroids, or cages. The coffee is fair trade, locally roasted, and Hawk's House liquors come from right here in Iowa. Hawk's owners go the extra mile, composting organic waste and recycling. For more information or to make reservations, visit hawktable.com. That's HOQ table.com.
It's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
I love driving to Newton to see the races.
Me too, but I only have to drive across town.
You live in Newton?
Yep, Newton's got small town charm and it's close to Des Moines. I love the safe, friendly neighborhoods and family-owned businesses. And Newton's wind energy industry is really taking off.
How'd you find your home?
Dan Kelly with First Choice Realty. And Dan helped me find my office too.
Next time, instead of just speeding by, I'll stop in and check out Newton.
Why don't you check out Newton? Call Dan Kelly at 641-521-9260 or Dan Kelly at mchsi.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm not the guy who cared about love. I'm not the guy who cared about fortunes and such. Never cared much. Oh, look at me now. I never knew the technique of kissing. I never knew the thrill I could get from...
Max Wellman, folks, and we're back to our conversation here on the Fallon Forum today. I want to thank Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling for sponsoring this segment of our show. You know, it's getting toward the end of the year when you've got to worry about your furnace, but it's not a bad idea to send it into a vacation, in the right working order. You want it to be ready to go next fall. Give Tinker a shout, folks. He will fix up your furnace just dandy. 371-2114. But of course, it's air conditioning season is soon upon us. Now, I got to admit, I hardly ever use one. I got these windows I open, but a lot of folks, especially with the heat we've been getting in recent years, you might want an air conditioning check. So give Tinker a call for that as well, 371-2114. We are going to be talking with Susie Paloma here. Susie Paloma is with the Ecumenical Peace Committee, and they are sponsoring the Processional for Peace. I had that right?
Yes.
On Palm Sunday. Mm-hmm. It's coming up real soon.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your group first. What does the Ecumenical Peace Committee work on?
Okay. It's officially the Des Moines Ecumenical Committee for Peace. It's a number of representatives from the larger ecumenical community who plan peace services. We historically do something every year around the Feast of Holy Innocents in December. We also historically do something around the anniversary of 9/11. And then also this is an annual peace event that we have where we do a procession and prayer service on Palm Sunday.
So why tie peace to Palm Sunday?
It's a good question. Well, first of all, biblically, at least from the standpoint of the Christian traditions, which this is an ecumenical peace committee, that would have been sort of Jesus' MO is a peacemaker
Right.
who actively participated in creative nonviolence, if you will.
Yeah.
And also Palm Sunday is it's historic. It's significant because a lot of people aren't aware that in the biblical tradition, Pilate, while Jesus was entering Jerusalem on a donkey, there was a counter procession into town by Herod with all the the whistles and bells and army and so it was sort of a counter procession
a counter protest, perhaps you might call it.
Counter protest.
Well, we're kind of used to counter protests in our world.
Yes.
Nowadays. Okay. So this wasn't a particularly. I guess just from a purely worldly point of view, this was Jesus's last march, so to speak.
Yeah.
Into town.
Yes.
and then it didn't end real well on Good Friday for him.
No, not so well.
I mean, from our point of view, theologically, it ended quite well, but that's another story.
Right.
So now I understand correctly, this march is led by a donkey.
It's led by a donkey, yes. Willis. Willis heeds from outside of Des Moines, and he comes in every year to lead our procession.
Okay, well, so Willis, I mean, he's got the dibs on this. This wasn't like you didn't submit an RFP and see how many donkeys applied and decide to go. You just
No. Willis has been faithful to the procession for a few years. So
I'm trying to get a sense as to what. Wait, let me show you a few donkeys because maybe there are some other donkeys that might fit the job better. Okay, let's take a look at these. How about that guy right there? Wouldn't you like him leading the procession?
A little too rambunctious, maybe.
Well, a little too. How about that one?
No, thank you.
Too political, maybe?
Too political, yeah.
Okay, well, how about that one?
He's very cute. He actually sort of resembles Willis.
Okay, well, tell Willis he might have a competitor next year.
Right.
All right. So enough of that. But anyway, this is an important event. I like the fact that it's ecumenical, that it brings people from a lot of different faith traditions together.
Yes.
That's important.
Christian traditions. Mm-hmm.
And how is do you get good attendance, good turnout?
Yeah, we typically have, in the hundreds. It depends on the weather because it is a procession outside. So, we can get 150, we can get 250, or even more on a gorgeous day. So, Iowa weather dictates a lot. So we're hoping for nice weather this year.
Well, again, it's hard to know. I mean, we've been having great St. Patrick's Day weather, but this year we've been having what? Look at this stuff.
Yeah.
There's still 2 inches of it on the ground.
Right.
Yeah. So.
I'm tired of it.
So if folks want to get more information or if they want to participate, what do they do?
Show up on the west side of the Capitol, the West Mall, at 2:30 on Palm Sunday, March 24th. And we'll gather there from 2:30 to 3. At 3, the procession begins. We'll process downtown, take a short pause at Nolan Plaza, and then proceed on to St. Paul's Episcopal Church Cathedral on the corner of 9th and High. And then we'll have a prayer service there. It'll start at approximately 3:45.
Great. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It sounds like a worthwhile opportunity, not just for Christians either, but for anybody who believes in peace, and certainly folks of other denominations as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Ed.
All right, folks, you hear that music? Yeah, that means that it's time for Nikisha Phillips to join us as she discusses her journey through pregnancy. Yep, with that screaming kid behind you there. All right, Nikisha, welcome.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
How are you feeling? You're getting closer and closer to the big day.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that the sun is shining today, so.
That helps?
It does.
It helps all of us.
I'm
not pregnant, and I already feel better.
Yeah, so that's helped a little bit today, but
What's the latest? What's the big news this week?
well, let's see. I met with my midwife this morning, and we discussed things in case of emergency C-section because Jess and I were kind of got like an beep moment.
It's okay. We're not FCC regulated. Okay. You can say what you want.
We were like an oh shit moment. I think it was it was Monday morning at 4 a.m. I thought my water broke.
Oh my. Now when are you due again?
June 10th.
So that would be like almost 3 months premature. It's
preterm labor. I mean, it happens.
That happens, but not often, right?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know, obviously what was going on. And I had gotten up to use the restroom, and it was trying to describe to you what it's supposed to feel like when your water breaks when you've not experienced it before. It's kind of
I never have experienced it.
You've never experienced it, neither have I. So
really?
It's kind of
okay, right? We're in the same boat there.
You have all these women describe, it's like this or it's like that, and trying to describe contractions, and you're just like, okay. And I guess you don't know it until it actually happens to you. But I was, it just felt like somebody had pulled a plug, and so we called the midwife, and she said for us to come into the hospital. So
you walk there because you live.
Yes.
And you don't have a car. You live 3 blocks away.
Right. So
this is 4 a.m.
Yeah, we got there at 5 because I was like, Well, I was like, we were going to kind of take our time, and I took a shower because I wasn't in pain. We just thought maybe that my water had broken. So we got there right around 5. We got checked in, and there's a test, actually, a swab test that they can do to find out if, in fact, your water did break. And thankfully, mine didn't break.
Really?
I just peed myself. So, hooray! I just have a really bad bladder now. But yeah.
Wait. This isn't a usual problem. This is not something that you usually.
No, I don't usually go around peeing myself. No, I don't. But it was like one of those things where the baby probably I try to stay as hydrated as possible.
Right.
Because that's important, and because it didn't smell like.
Well, your sleeping habits are different, probably.
And your sleeping habits are different, and the baby's getting bigger and pushing on organs that it didn't priorly push on, and
like bladders, for example.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, so they just informed me that I peed myself and that everything was fine and the baby was fine, and but it's
very bold of you to share this with us, by the way.
I don't care. At this point, I'm not. I might as well not even be afraid of anything. So, but it was one of those moments where we're like, oh shit, because this could have happened. I mean, we could have had a baby within 48 hours.
Once your water breaks, it's pretty quick after that.
Well, yeah, it can't. I mean, and they would have wanted to give me steroids to increase the baby's lung development.
Okay.
So it's like those kind of things, and we're like, okay, slow down. We really need to work on our birth, because I was on last week and we were talking about birth plans, and wish lists, and like, okay, let's get on the ball.
Yeah. So that kind of inspired you to do a little bit more planning.
It did.
Right.
And I feel like the more planning, I mean, the less anxiety you're going to have, because you're going to be more well-informed and ready to make those decisions and confident in those decisions.
So how do you, I'm not to continue to hammer on this, but.
Are you going to bring up circumcision?
No, I'm going to talk more about peeing yourself.
Okay.
How do you, in the future, should this happen again, tonight, next week, next month, do you know enough now to distinguish it between the actual breaking of the water?
I guess. I don't know. The nurse didn't really tell us much, and the midwife was not in the hospital. She was on call, obviously, and I wasn't going into labor. So, kind of, I guess. I don't know. Maybe, no, I guess I don't know. So I guess every time I pee myself and think it's my water breaking, I should maybe go to the hospital. I don't know. That's a good question for me to ask my midwife tomorrow.
Happy to help.
Thanks, Ed. I appreciate that.
Folks, Nikisha Phillips with us. This is perhaps the funniest segment we've done with you, but I think this is you. My goal is to make you the most famous pregnant woman in Des Moines. How are we doing?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I haven't gotten my fan mail yet. Maybe
the
it's
fan
going.
Mail isn't coming
maybe
in
it's going to you.
Yeah, and I'm hoarding it. I'm keeping it for myself. I want to surprise you with it. I'm not going to give it to you unless you tell me the gender of the baby. There we go. And agree to use the stroller.
Oh no. Well, we'll have to. You might just have to hold on to those fan letters.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
All right, folks. When we come back tomorrow, Aaron Todd is going to be with us. We're going to talk about the 6th Avenue corridor. This is an area of Des Moines north of downtown that has been blighted and in bad shape for a long, long time. In fact, if you like to walk, or if you have to walk, or if you're pushing a baby stroller, or in a wheelchair, it's always been a very tough thing to accomplish on 6th Avenue because the sidewalk pretty much doesn't exist in most places. So I'm really delighted to hear that progress is being made, not just on the sidewalk, but on the whole streetscape. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow with Aaron Todd. We're also going to talk about a more controversial issue, and that is same-sex marriage. Donna Redwing, the executive director of One Iowa, will be with us again. We'll talk about that and some of the related issues, the developments on that issue, not just here in Iowa, but across the country. And finally, it being Friday, Heather Ryan will join us for Ryan's Rants. Thanks so much, folks, for sticking with us today. Thank you, Maddie Arrington, my producer. Thank you, Webcast One Live, for providing the studio for the show. I'll be back tomorrow.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I am administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.